Hello and welcome to the Freedom Stein Laboratory. I am your host, Diane. We're going to have a little bit of fun on this episode because I'm in a good mood. Trump has gone over to Davos and wiped his boots on everybody, which we always enjoy because I love it when we have a president that goes to the globalists and the World Economic Forum and tells them to pound sand. So it is really, really cool to have a president like that. Let me bring this camera down here a little bit. You don't need to see all of my advertising for history goes bump back there. I watched or I listened. Well, I guess I watched and listened to Dee Got a Podcast. He had a woman on there that had done some remote viewing and bumped into Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk. Who knew that Erica Kirk's soul was disembodied? Now, I'm into the paranormal and stuff, so I do believe in remote viewing. Clearly, our military does too, because they've been doing that back in the, a couple decades ago, probably still doing it now to spy on Russia or the Soviet Union or whatever. It is possible to do that kind of thing. Do I think that this woman actually would have run into Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk? Well, no, because Erica Kirk is still alive, even though I think she was trying to say she's no longer human. Now, she might be possessed. I don't know. I've talked about that here on the podcast that sometimes her eyes and things make me wonder, but she's still alive for all I could tell. But Charlie Kirk, why would he be talking to this woman who's remote viewing? I mean, I don't think he'd be talking to her. I think he's in a better place right now. And it was weird. I don't know why Dee Dee did that, but that was entertaining today. But the really fun thing that has happened today, and we really need to talk about things that are more fun because we're about to have like the winter apocalypse hitting the South. Thankfully, I live in Florida, so we're below the line of like there's this swoop that's going to go through parts of Texas and the top of Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, and up into the top of Georgia, and then hit South Carolina full on, and Tennessee and Kentucky, and those southern states there that are not used to this. Plus, there's a bunch of cold air that's coming down. So everybody above the South is going to be like 30 below. My poor sister lives in Iowa. I don't know how she does it on a farm there. They're going to be freezing, but this like band that's right in the middle in the South that's not used to this, it's going to be like 3 inches of ice. That's going to take down power lines. That's going to make it so you better not go on the road. Emergency vehicles aren't going to be able to get out. They're talking about people losing power for like a week to a month. And we watched this happen back in 2021 in Texas. Didn't they lose power for was it almost a month then too? I mean, it was like forever. And it's going to be a disaster. And our grid, they've never improved our grid. I mean, here in Florida, we got a little bit cold. It was down in the 30s, and we lost power for like, I think it was almost 2 hours one night. It was at least an hour, maybe two. And we don't even know why. It was gone. Kind of like the Verizon blackout, but so you got to take your mind off of that. I hope all of you guys are prepared. Here in Florida, we're used to this kind of thing because when hurricanes come, we're facing the same thing. Like you might lose power for a week or a month. Thankfully, I've only ever lost power for 9 hours after a hurricane and during a hurricane. So that's the worst I've ever had to deal with, but we're prepared just in case. So hopefully you guys have mainly water and I don't know, make sure that you can keep everything warm because you do not want your pipes to freeze. So, let the water drip and all that good stuff through the pipes. And we'll be praying for you guys. Hopefully it's not so bad. Really good news though. I mean, I don't talk about Candace a whole lot on here anymore, but sometimes you just got to talk about the lady. Um, because she's just really been doing the crazy train thing, but I think she's going to have to pivot. And why do I think she's going to have to pivot? Because look, folks, Turning Point USA sent me a legal letter. Now, I don't know if it's a cease and desist, if it's threatening a lawsuit. She's got a very sad looking face there. She's not like smiling and gleeful. I think they've had their fill of her pointing the finger over there. Now, I do have a lot of questions about TPUSA and some stuff about Erica's a little shady. But when you're trying to say that these people actually participated possibly in assassinating Charlie Kirk, I mean, you're really pushing it there. I know that they were a big F up. Clearly, the security team did not do their job. Clearly, they don't seem to care to like do a really thorough investigation to figure out what happened here, and they're just going with the Fed slop. But a lot of the stuff that Candace has been doing, I mean, when she was talking about Dave Rubin the other night and him saying that she had ranted about Charlie Kirk and that she hated him and all this stuff, and she was pushing back against that. And I went, Dave Rubin is not somebody that's on my high list either. I mean, he's definitely a Zionist and everything. But what makes me believe Dave Rubin over a Candace Owens about the whole she hated Charlie thing is when you try to tear down everything that someone is about or loves, their family, their business, I have to think that you hate that person. Because why would you do that unless you do hate that person? And her retaliation against a lot of that was, well, I didn't unfollow Charlie. I wasn't following him. He's your best friend and you weren't following him on X? Well, who does that? Like, you don't follow your best friend on X? So, yes, of course, you couldn't unfollow him because you weren't following him to begin with. I'm beginning to think that these two were really not talking to each other for the last couple of years. And I think Charlie was trying to cut her loose. And even though he was starting to come around to having his eyes opened when it came to the Israel lobby and all that stuff, I don't think that put him in Candace's camp either. I think he was like me, sitting here in the middle going, I'm a Christian. Jesus is a Jew, was a Jew. The disciples were Jews. So I love these Jewish people. God gave the Israel territory to the Israelites forever, as far as the Bible said. And I don't know what all that includes because the tribes all broke up and some broke away here and then they changed. And we don't even know who all these different Jewish people are. Are they blended with these Europeans? And the Revelation tells us the synagogue of Satan is going to be coming around, and it's definitely pointing the finger at Jewish people in that regard. So I just find myself in the middle going, I know I'm supposed to care about Israel and I have a connection there, but also I can't be connected to something that goes in and wholesale slaughters a whole group of people after you put them over on this patch of land and then you drive them out of there and turn it all into rubble. And today I was looking at this thing on Drop Site News, and they're cutting out a little area for them. And it's going to be like you can only get in if you have your biometrics, and it's going to be a military zone and all this other stuff. And it's like, how awful for some of these people. I mean, this Palestinians, we're going to destroy everything. And then we're going to go ahead and put you in this little corner, and you're going to have all of these military people standing around you and watching everything that you do. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was this thing that was going around on X. And since I am a Gen X kind of person, and I'm trying to figure out why this doesn't have this posted up here on my profile, because I'm pretty sure I put it there. I wonder. Let me just make sure. I might have put it over on my other account here. Let me see if I did that. But anyway, being Gen X, I know all about like the analog way of life. And this person had put this thing out about analog stuff. And how many of these have you dealt with? And why can I not? Okay, it's not on my other account. Where in the world is this? I know that I reposted it on my profile. Hold on, everybody. Let me see. Does it have replies for it? No. Okay, let me do a quick search here. Analog. Gen X checklist. Let me see if that'll bring it up here for me. Now I'm getting some weird scientific analog. Oh, this is so weird. I totally answered this. And let me see if it's going to give me over here. Sorry, guys. I totally was prepared for this, and then it's just like not here. And of course, I don't have my phone in here, which is where I actually answered it. Da, 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 da. I don't know why I can't find this. This is really pissing me off. Analog. Back in the day, I don't even know what to look at now. Checklist. God damn. It should be totally up on my profile because I answered it and posted it. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I don't know why this went somewhere else, but let me go ahead and share it with you guys. Excuse my frustration, but it makes me look completely unprepared when I wasn't. Okay. So I have to ask, like, how many of you guys can check off these things here on this list? Have you used a rotary phone? It's not the push button, it's the, spin it like brrr, brrr. That's the sound it made. Used a floppy disk. And no youngins, millennials, and Gen Z, when they say floppy, they were floppy. You guys remember you could like wave your hand back and forth and it was a square thing. It wasn't a round little disc. It was like floppy and it was square and you'd slide it into the slot. Used a typewriter. I actually took typing in high school. Can you believe that? We did have some Apple computers, but we really didn't use those very often. So yeah, I took typing class and learned the whole, you put your fingers in the right place and da 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 da. It doesn't really help with the phone now, but on a regular keyboard, it'd kind of be the same thing. Taken photos with a film camera. Can you remember the days when you would go in and you would be like, hopefully all the pictures turn out, and you'd go in and you'd pick up your pictures and then you'd get like a couple of them that were black or they were like black and had a little bit of like light on them. And you were like, oh, I hope that wasn't that amazing photo I thought I was going to get. How much money did we spend on film and then developing it? And now with your phone, you could just take a picture for free and you could put it anywhere you want. It's amazing. And you could send it over to, Walgreens or whatever and have them print a bunch of pictures off if you actually want the pictures. What a world we lived in back then. Next thing we have up here. Listen to music on a CD. I remember when the compact disc players came out when I was in college. At least I'm sure they were out a little bit before that, but that's like when everybody started getting them. And one of my roommates got one and it was like, we have a compact disc player here in the apartment. And before that, we have listened to a cassette tape. So we're like rewinding. How many of you made the mixtape? Yeah, we're going to get into that just a minute here. Listen to a vinyl record. And what blows my mind are vinyl records are coming back. They're like the thing now. Everybody wants to listen to vinyl records and they're trying to find phonographs to play them on because the sound is so much better. I mean, you could go into stores now and get an album. It's so cool. I love that it's come back. Listen to music on a Walkman, especially with the orange, headphone things. Those were the ones that everybody had. You can clip it on your belt. I mean, I was literally listening to a Walkman all the way up into, it would have been right before I moved here in 2006 because I like to listen to the radio while I was cleaning houses. And so I would have the Walkman with me so I could listen to the AM dial and listen to talk radio. So I was doing that pretty recently, I guess you could say. I mean, it's been almost 20 years, but yeah, I definitely listen to stuff on a Walkman, listen to music on a boom box outside. And you would go for the biggest boom box you could get. Like I had the little like rectangular looking one that just had the, couple of set speakers in it. But you had the guys that had the boom boxes that were like the size of your back seat of your car. And they would put that thing up on their shoulder and be walking down the street. They had the bass going on that thing and had it turned up really loud. Watched a video. And actually, I want to jump down to number 12 here. Recorded music from radio to cassette, because going back up to the cassette tape, making the mixtape. So how many of you were sitting in front of your radio and you had your blank cassette in there and you were like, please, DJ, play the song I want to record. Please, please. And for you youngins, you could actually call in to the radio station and request songs. There was once a time you could do that. So I would call in sometimes to request the song I wanted to hear. And then I would sit there and be like, come on, come on. And then you'd be like, please don't let the DJ talk all over the front end of it. So, like when the intros play into the song, sometimes the DJ would step all over it, or they would jump in really quick at the end before the song had finished and start talking. And you're like, oh, they ruined it. I almost had it perfectly recorded. Now, if you were making a mixtape for somebody that you liked, you were very thoughtful about it. And you were like, what songs should I put on this? And if you were to give this to somebody, that was better than a love letter, because this was like you put your brain into it and your whole heart into it. If you got a mixtape from somebody, that was something special. Okay, so let's go back up here to watch the video from a VHS tape. And really, you could rewind that back to a Betamax. Remember, the Betamax came out before VHS. Now, my family did not have a Betamax. And I'll never forget when we finally got the VCR. It took my parents forever to get that VCR. But man, when they did, we were renting movies like you would not believe, watching our VHS tapes. You could record stuff off of TV and then rewatch it. So we would do that all the time. I watched the remember North and South, the miniseries? We taped that, man. I watched that thing so many times after we taped it, or there'd be a movie on, or my parents would even do the whole pirating kind of thing. And you would rent, because you could rent the VCR from the rental place too. So they would rent one. We had one so you could play the movie and record it. And I remember my parents really, really loved Dirty Dancing, which I do too, especially the music. I love all that old music. And they kept screwing it up while we were doing it. So we must have watched Dirty Dancing like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in a row for them to finally get it recorded. Don't tell the cops. Sent or received a fax. I mean, I remember when you had to drive to a place that did faxes, because you couldn't just do the faxing from your printer at your house. And so you'd be like, oh, there's an office store. They do faxes. And you'd have to go to the office store and pay them a certain amount of money to send a fax for you. Rented a video from Blockbuster. They should have put some of these things a little bit closer together. So this would have gone with the VHS tape. Of course, I wonder if I still have my Blockbuster card somewhere. I'm sure it's in one of these boxes somewhere. Everybody had a Blockbuster card. And our last Blockbuster that we had here where I live in Florida, in Central Florida, it was still there when I moved into my apartments here, which would have been about 2007 to 2011. So it was still there around 2010. And I think there still is one Blockbuster that still exists here in the world. I don't know where in America it is. I'm sure a lot of you are probably screaming it out right now. Access the internet by dial-up. Do you remember what that sounded like? I can't even do the sound effect, but I'm like, And I remember you'd had to plug it into the wall and you would just be sitting there forever hoping you could get like access. Can I get onto the internet? And everything was so slow. I mean, I watch people now that are like, "Oh, this is taking forever to upload." And I'm like, "Oh my God, when the internet was first coming out and you had to do dial up and you think this is taking a long time?" Used a phone book. Do they even still do phone books? I mean, they used to put a new phone book on your doorstep every single year. It was the white pages and the yellow pages. And some of them were like that thick for your white pages and that thick for your yellow pages. And I remember going through those things anytime you were trying to find help for stuff. Send a postcard. You could still do that today. I don't even know how much it costs. I mean, forever stamps, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm sure there's still some people who send postcards today. I haven't done it in a really long time, but yeah, I loved sending postcards. And they're kind of funny because there's nothing private about a postcard because whatever you wrote on it, everybody could read it because it's just out there. It's not in an envelope. Used a paper map to get somewhere. I still occasionally use a paper map or will map something out looking at it. And then I've always got Google Maps going too because then you get the this is what's happening right now. This road is blocked. You want a faster way to get there. There's cops sitting up here. So it does make it a little easier like that. But I still occasionally would get out the paper map. And my mom, she refuses. My parents won't get smartphones. It's driving me nuts. I mean, they're in their 70s. And I'm like, please, you're getting older. I really would be able to, like, if I could communicate with you guys, especially when they're on the road. They do have a flip phone. They won't do the smartphone thing. And so they'll never, my mom will never use the GPS or anything. She always maps everything out before they go somewhere and prints it all out and kills, a few dozen trees and stuff. Owned a dictionary, owned an encyclopedia. We had a whole encyclopedia set I remember as a kid. I kind of miss those. They were a lot of fun. And I still have a dictionary and a thesaurus over here on my bookshelf. Those things, you can never go wrong as long as you've always got a dictionary around. And then paid with a paper check. Now, this kind of, I don't know. I think you're kind of pushing it a little bit with the paper check thing because there's a lot of people who still pay with paper checks. I was still paying my mortgage with a paper check until last year. And then I finally started doing everything online. And the only reason I started doing that is because I was just tired of trying to get to the post box because I don't like to put my mail out in our big post box thing that we have out there because I don't trust it. I've had things get lost. So it's like I've got to take it right to the post office. So trying to go make that trip is a pain in the butt. So now I just pay everything online. But I was paying with paper checks for a while there, and I clean houses for a living. It's the other thing I do, and people still pay me with paper checks, cash or paper checks. So people still do pay with paper checks. So I don't know if that's that much of an analog in the past kind of thing. But Gen Xer, of course, I checked every one of those things off completely. Yeah. So what about you guys? Let me know in the comments. How many of those did you check off? I was seeing on X that there were people who were millennials and Gen Z that were like, "Oh, I got 7." I was like, "What?" But I love that stuff. When you look back, like they say Gen X, we will be able to survive the apocalypse or anything else because not only did we grow up during the Cold War, but like we drank out of the hose. We were latchkey kids. So, we're like letting ourselves into the house when we're like 10 and taking care of ourselves because our parents are both working and they can't afford babysitters and stuff like that. So you just walk home with all your friends and let yourself into the house and don't answer the door to anybody. Don't answer the phone. Don't tell anybody you're home alone, that kind of thing. We'd be out until the street lights came on and then you were like, okay, I gotta go home because mom and dad are, and your parents could actually yell for you and you'd hear them because you were in the neighborhood somewhere. We'd fall off our bikes, scrape ourselves up, and we just, you know throw some dirt on it and keep going. We'd go to the mall and hang out. I mean, are malls even a thing anymore? Man, we had the best music. We had the best everything. I am so glad I grew up during the 80s and that I am Gen X. It just was the best. All right. Well, you guys let me know, where are you at with that? And we'll catch you on the next video.